A plague is ruining the land, but the tree of life still stands. Question is, for how long? End is coming to the new world. The tribes stand divided, in need of someone strong enough to unite them, or bring them all down. This is a story with an unusual beginning. So, let's expect an unusual end. Welcome to Biomutant.
Biomutant is a new game from THQ Nortic, developed by Experiment 101. It's a post-apocalyptic game where you play as a mutated raccoon monkey. That's really not a bad description. Hey guys, welcome to Super Platinum Achievement. I'm Mitch, and I'm going to give you my full review, spoiler-free, of Biomutant. Stick around. First off, guys, if you're new to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It does help us out a ton. We really appreciate it. Also, make sure to give us a thumbs up if you like what you see here today. Imagine that Days Gone and Ratchet and Clank had a baby. Then imagine that Breath of the Wild and Banjo-Kazooie had a baby. Then those two babies grew up and had a baby of their own and named it Biomutant. That sums up this game pretty well. Let's dive into our review and break down everything, starting with... Usually I link visuals to the look and overall performance of the game. This time, however, I'm going to separate them a bit because this game really deserves that. So make sure to watch this entire review. This game really is a gorgeous game with a sprawling landscape that is full of life. The colors all pop and the world is very unique. The downside is that the game's graphics feel like a mid-last-gen game. It does not really hold up to today's standards. But I'm not going to hold that against it too much because it really is a very pretty game and one of the most vibrant post-apocalyptic games I've ever seen. Visuals gets an 8 out of 10 for me.
You found the Cluppy Dunes, where the sun rises every day and passing lines in the sand means a struggle between life and death.
The audio in this game was mixed well and the music is pretty great and really sets the tone. However, they opted for the characters to speak in a gibberish and for a narrator to translate for you the entire game. This can get extremely annoying. They should have just stuck with the gibberish and forced you to read the dialogue or given the characters their own voices. Other than that, the sound effects were mixed well and done very well with the weapons, the monsters, and the movement. However, that narrator just really gets on your last nerves and knocks it down a few points. Audio gets a 7 out of 10. This is where this game really underperformed. I played on the Xbox Series X and it was advertised to play at 4K 60 frames a second. However, I noticed a lot of significant frame rate drops that should not happen these days. For the most part, it did run pretty smooth, but it still had some issues. As for the textures, well, those were bad. There were more pop-in textures than games that released 5 years ago. You could literally watch the world load around you as you moved. It didn't look great. It was like you had this magical circle around you that made the textures suddenly look slightly better, but not much. The fur on the creatures also looked weird and looked like a bunch of dots put together. The grass looked like it was moving like water would, and the environment as a whole just kind of moved oddly. There were many textures that were just out of place or not attached to anything. I snapped a few pictures with my phone here because I didn't record all the moments just to try and show you guys some examples, but it really wasn't well polished. The game makes Cyberpunk at launch seem like a well-polished game. The game did also crash on me once. It just felt like it was rushed out and they didn't take their time to make it all it could be. Performance and polish gets a 2 out of 10. here is where I really enjoyed myself. At first, this game feels really weird and you're not really sure what kind of game it is, and you're not sure what to do, but after warming up to it and figuring things out, I really had a lot of fun. The game starts out with you having to conquer different tribes so that you can all unite to fight the World Eaters. It doesn't feel like a true open world at first, as it kind of bottlenecks you in certain places. However, once this whole tribe thing is done, it really opens up a lot. And the crafting mechanic is a lot of fun as well, with designing your own weapons and armor to really fit your playstyle the best. This is a hack and slash game with not really much behind the battles. I do wish there was more technique involved, like Ghost of Tsushima at least. But it was still a lot of fun, just hacking and slashing your way through these mutant creatures. You do get all these moves and abilities with different combos and upgrades you get throughout the game, but really in the end it's kind of best to just stick with one or two simple moves, or just standing back and shooting them with your upgraded gun. To get the materials that you use to craft, you explore all these abandoned locations and sites, and you just loot the area. And I mean, you find a lot of loot. It was probably a little bit too much. I wish there was either less loot, or that they had a way of making the loot that you did find continue to get better as you leveled up. Kind of like they did in games such as Dying Light, for example. They also added this odd feature that didn't really make sense and was kind of weird at the beginning, where you constantly have to choose between light and dark with your decision making. It kind of felt shoehorned in there at first, but really in the end it has a great payout. Gameplay was a lot of fun. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. The story of Biomutant is simple, yet still kind of confusing. It really takes patience and playing the game more to appreciate it. The basic gist is that the world was destroyed by humans being selfish and polluting the planet. What else is new? This leads to a nuclear contamination of the world and mutated creatures, along with the extinction of the human race. The new creatures have evolved to become these intelligent mammals that, like I mentioned before, are kind of like raccoon monkeys. They are faced with their own apocalypse due to the world continuing to die and the World Eater monsters, destroying their life source of the planet, which is known as the Tree of Life. It's an interesting story, but also gets a little preachy by the developer kind of putting their own opinions and thoughts in on our current state as a human race and the whole global warming thing. Not a big deal. With all this going on, you also have your own personal revenge story to achieve from something that happened to you as a child. All this being said, I enjoyed the story, and the end is quite good. I give it a 7 out of 10. Overall, Biomutant was an enjoyable game that was satisfying in the end. The biggest letdown was the lack of polish that was really put into it. It just felt rushed and pushed out to get out at a good time when there really isn't much to play. The developer has said they are listening to fans and plan to release updates and patches, including fixing that horribly annoying narrator and the poor textures. Because of that, I would advise anyone to wait until some patches come out, because it would really make it a top-notch game if they fix these issues. But until then, this game gets a 6.5 out of 10 overall from me. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give us a big thumbs up. Smash that subscribe button. Check out our giveaway playlist. We do a lot of them, and we hope to see you again here on Super Platinum Achievement. See you guys.